Welcome aboard Canal Light Vessel Automatic, Whitchurch's answer to pirate radio. Sadly, it's fully legal and not a radio station. On the plus side, Tony Blackburn is not with us, and seasickness tablets are unnecessary. So settle back for the lock-in, a meandering journey, occasionally fraught with the rusty shopping trolleys that fate throws in our path as we get to know some of the people who have helped contribute to making our brilliant market town that also has a canal, where we are.
If, when cleaning out your attic, you come across some chalk rabbits, hold on to them and take them down to Moo and Boom, as they might just be worth a fortune, a sentence that has never been uttered before. With us, in the slightly too narrow studio, Stella Ashbrook, co-founder of one of Shropshire's very few B Corp listed retailers. No, not a clandestine military unit, but a category for sustainability. Your green tea really could not be any greener. And clothes and furniture are all made to stringent fair trade and eco-friendly standards. Stella talks rabbits, her ethos and love of antiques, writing a group novella, and watching Tony Slattery snog a cameraman. Buckle up as we charge ahead at an obligatory British Waterways Limited 4 miles an hour.
Rolling.
So it's very nice to be back on your lovely home, producer.
Thank you, Mark.
Dave and I were just saying on the way here how nice it was to be serene again.
Yeah, I know. It's been. It feels like it's been a while. It feels like it's been too long because I suppose it has.
Not for you. Not for you. Though. So we obviously had Maria on and Steve on. Now, what the producer is, we've kind of found him doing is, once he's met these people, he's then gone and used their services. So he's now a friend of Blackberry Fair, literally refilling his boots all the time. And I'm hoping that, having spoken to you, Stella, he'll be spending a lot of time in Moo and Boom because some fantastic clothes which he needs. Smells fantastic, which this place really doesn't. Great cafe as well, but he doesn't serve drinks. So anyway, thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
And joining us on the boat.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I mean, the list has not been very long, but you were number 3 out of 4, so you've done very well.
I'm delighted.
You were first on my list, actually, Stella, but I thought we'd better do Steve. So, Moo and Boom is what we know you for. Now, great onomatopoeia. I'm thinking, so it's a noise a cow makes. And the gas explosion. Where on earth did Moo and Boom come from?
Okay, so Moo is Maddie, my daughter, who's actually, it's her company. So I'm a director, but actually it is Maddie's business.
Okay.
So we always have called her Moo at home.
Any reason?
No, I think it's Maddie. She was Maddie May. She's Madeleine May Francis. So we've always shortened it to Moo. It was her nickname. And Boom is shortened of boomerang, which is full circle.
Of course.
So, because we're a sustainable business, the boomerang comes full circle all the way back to you, and that's what we do with Moo and Boom. We have a full circle of goods, so we know where they started and where they end, and that's why we called it Moo and Boom. And it's just got a catchy ring to it, really.
Yeah, it's a fab name.
And also, everybody says, where'd you get the name from? So it's a talking point. But that's how it arrived.
I'm really not very original, so it wasn't the most incisive of questions, but people are always going to ask, and some people don't know. But that sustainability thing, because having been into the shop a few times, and it's always brilliant for emergency birthday presents that aren't just a candle.
Exactly.
So I've kind of enjoyed that side of it.
Yeah, the thing is, I think when we came into Whitchurch as a little pop-up, it was sort of a little experiment of sustainability in Whitchurch and how it would be perceived. And we dropped really lucky because obviously we opened just after COVID.
Yeah.
In 2020.
So is that a similar time to Maria?
Exactly,
yeah,
same
exactly
time.
right.
We started together really, which worked brilliantly because obviously we fall in line with each other. So
yes.
We popped up. It went very well from the September.
Where
to
did
December.
Where did you pop up?
Same place.
Okay.
But a tiny section of that building, and it was just literally nothing on the walls. We made it what we could with what resources we'd got, but it went surprisingly very well. So we decided, Maddie decided she would sign a 5-year lease, which is what we've done, and it has just gone from strength to strength really. from a business point of view, and grown and developed. And then 18 months ago, we got B Corp accreditation, which took us 14 months to get.
So what is... Because I thought I used to kind of know my standards relatively well, but I had absolutely no idea what that... It sounded like some special forces operation. B Corp.
It is like going through special forces.
Training, yeah.
It is really hard. So what you do is you fill out loads and loads and loads of material about your business that is green and carbon free, and also your factories. So for example, when we buy into any goods, we know the factories we've bought them from, it's not slave labour. People are getting paid a fair wage. There is a give back. So for example, if it's getting shipped or airborne, they are then giving back to through tree growing.
So they're offsetting their
carbon. And that's what we had to prove. So our 14-month application with being a B Corp, there's only 3 in Shropshire, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
How come? Because you would think with Shropshire being God's green and pleasant land,
it's a really hard accreditation to get.
And is it relatively common across, for example, in Hoxton or Shoreditch, where I would expect it to be all the rage? Is it more common down south,
yes,
for example,
definitely.
in urban centres?
Yes, and St Ives, there's quite a few B Corps. You've got Rockerbag, a B Corp. Fatface is a B Corp.
Yeah.
Okay, and that means that they've gone through governance. So we pay obviously living wage. We're totally transparent.
So you pay living wage, not just minimum wage.
Yeah, and also we're very transparent. So as an employee, if you want to ask me about anything to do with the business, other than other people's salaries, you can look at any of my...
Oh, wow, transparent.
Yeah.
You sound like Sweden.
But that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because actually, when you're going through bad times, you need your staff and you need your team to be behind you to actually say, come on, we're with you, we're working for the same goal. The other thing which is really important to me is community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So part
we know
of the
about
B Corp is to give back to your community. So obviously I do quite a lot of community work.
Yeah.
Within Moo and Boom's branding, and that to me is my sort of what I do for the company. Do I stand behind a counter? Yes, I do now and again, because I'm free labour, I would say, for my daughter.
You are very good behind the counter.
However,
I've seen that.
That's not what I'm driven by. I'm driven by business, and I'm driven by doing something back for the community.
It also strikes me that there's something ethical as well.
Very much so.
Yeah,
very much ethical. As in, we have no food waste. Everything is freshly prepared.
Yeah.
Even our coffee grinds we bag up and we give free for the slugs, for your lettuces.
Oh wow! So everyone benefits. Even the
customers can have a bag of coffee grinds, and it's super good for your garden.
We're lucky actually. We've got a lot of slugs that do listen in, so they'll be queuing outside Moo and Boom at 6 o'clock. You got any coffee grinds? I'm starving.
But that's the great.
It's dry outside. I can't get there.
The great thing about not having also a really fixed menu, because you use everything that's purchased. The waste thing is really important to us, that we don't waste. It's like clothing. We only buy 6 pieces of one style. We don't mass buy. When it's gone, it's gone.
Right. Fair play. So it probably adds a little bit of
uniqueness.
Yes, exactly. That's the word I was reaching for. You won't be
wearing someone else wearing that at a wedding, will you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, it means that you're not left with so much surplus stock at the end of a season. So, we always left with something.
Yeah.
So it's a case then of...
But just less.
Exactly. And I'm not one for putting it in storage for another 12 months, because if it hasn't gone then in a reduced section, I would give it to the charity shops.
Oh wow! So it's ethical and efficient.
Totally.
It's just bad. It's great.
Yeah, because why sit on everything?
But it's fascinating. It is so counterintuitive. There was someone I know who was running a focus group around waste. She used to be quite senior at Which, the consumer magazine, and it was a younger demographic, and they were talking about the environment, ecosystems, green issues, and they were talking about shopping, and definitely I'll buy loads of stuff I buy online, and I will buy a lot of stuff online, but I don't waste it because I send 90% of it back. Where's it all coming from? Well, probably not sure. But the B Corp thing I think is fascinating. I don't know how many supply chains you've got and how you manage all of that. It must be a headache, but I suppose there must be a way of checking if someone's B Corp. But actually, you doing your stock, because in many ways you're actually you're taking a bit of a risk there. Sometimes there's less choice for the consumer, but you've taken a decision based on your beliefs and your integrity that actually this is how we're going to do it. We might make more money doing something else, but really sticking to those values. And I think people these days, they do, they might like a product, and I think so many big companies these days have found people have actually got to like what you really stand for, and some people do really check. Patagonia are a company I've always liked because I think they kind of live their ethos into, they make the environment their core, and actually we stand for it. This is something will help you enjoy the environment and protect it.
Yeah, well, Patagonia are B Corp.
Yes.
So there are some big companies that are B Corp, you see. But it's for us though, it was a challenge, and we quite like a challenge. It was a challenge for us to get it.
Whose idea? Whose was it? Was it you or Maddie?
Maddie is super sustainable. So she, out of us all as a family, she is the one that's driven the sustainability.
And has she converted you, or have you converted her, or is it just a family ethos that you've all been quite conscious?
We're quite family ethos of it, but no, it's Maddie's the driven one.
Wow.
Because I obviously, my background is I'm an auctioneer,
which I really want to hear about.
So I did 25 years as an auctioneer, and I
as in with the hammer.
Yeah, with the hammer. I specialised in ceramics, decorative arts, and obviously that's a recycling thing because it's your second-hand vase.
Yes, it is
being sold by me to another consumer, to another customer. So I've always been in a recycling business because that's my background. So it's not that I've changed my mindset, but I'd never ever thought I'd take it into retail because I've never really done retail.
Okay, I've always so it's just a different sector.
Yes, exactly. So from an antiques point of view, that's what I bring into Moo and Boom as well, because obviously the second-hand furniture side and the decorative arts that we ever put in, or the standard lamps, or the upholstered chairs, that all comes through me because that's what I source for the company. Even though I don't practice auctioneering anymore because I am a retired auctioneer, I still keep my hand in buying and consulting in antiques and art and stuff with other companies. But I think that's where Maddie might get the upcycle thing, because from a child I've never bought anything new. So I've never bought a brand new sofa. I've always bought an old sofa and having it recovered.
Right, well, Maddie's a sort of a product of an environment.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But she's much better at it than I am. Whereas, I do slip off and think, oh, well, that's really nice, I'll buy that. And then it's,
But upcycling, through a couple of things, vintage being one of them.
Oh, yeah, she's
now, and of course, but it's a great idea. And, if you think about it, people these days, they are obsessed with labels, they're obsessed with brands, but they're expensive. The Instagram, TikTok generation, China, various countries in the world, they will see something on a celebrity and they will have that copied and manufactured within 24 hours. However, the other side of it is people love their brands. My sister-in-law works for Burberry, whatever the brand is, and vintage is a great way of getting to it. And I think people, I wonder what the primary motivation is. Actually, this is kind of upcycling. We're taking something that's wonderful and it's being reused, and I'm buying it and I'm getting the brand. It works in every single way. It's like a platform that hits so many solutions. So I want the brand, I want the label, I want some high quality, and I don't want to pay any money for it. And it just seems to have hit at the right time. And I think, I didn't know that about your shop. Now, if I'd done a ton of research, I probably would have been able to find it. How many of your customers do you think come to you because of all of this, or do they just come in because they like what's in the shop?
No, I think our core customers know, they get it. So when you've got a core customer that they get a B Corp, they know, people will come and say, oh, you're B Corp. They know it because that's their vein of shopping. A lot of customers don't. They just come in because it's got a really nice vibe. Do you know what I mean?
It does have, yeah.
We're incredibly
Yeah.
positive. We never fall on a negative in Moo and Boom. We always go towards a positive vibe. And you might feel like shit one day, but actually you don't show it to your customer. You've always upbeat, because actually we want people to come in and have a really good experience. So yeah, I'd say my core customers know, they get it, and obviously if you've been on a website, all the affiliation and the story behind it and everything is there. And obviously Maddie's won loads of awards for what she does with sustainability, and she can, it's a shame she's away at the moment, because she's actually could talk for hours about sustainable practice, and Vinted is a classic one really for young people to get hold of, because as you say, they can buy a branded good that is second hand as new for half the price, instead of buying the reproduction which has been made by the Chinese market, that is effectively a lot of slave labour.
5,000 miles away, it's shipped, it's rubbish, it's poor quality, it's going in the bin, and it just repeats that cycle.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need a Maddie special.
Your bloke definitely does.
Yeah, we need a Maddie special. We need her to come in and have a sustainability special on the podcast, don't we?
When she's back from she's basically got a first class plane ticket, and she's stopping at every single country. So her air miles, she's probably had to plonk. No, she's not. But no, I think that's a great idea. But I think it is really important. And I don't know how you feel. You can probably tell by my clothes. I don't really throw stuff out. But I found a beautiful coat that I was bought for my 30th. It was Geeves and Hawkes cashmere. I'm 50 now. It's 20 years old. It's immaculate. I've got 20-year-old RM Williams boots. Yeah, I've paid a bit more for them, but they last because you look after them. And I think there's something quite satisfying about having a piece of clothing or a piece of furniture, especially brown wood, mahogany, teak. It's that was out of fashion, and you could pick up this stuff and it's going, oh well, it's teak and mahogany. Yeah, it is, but it was made 150 years ago.
Honestly,
that's completely sustainable.
I don't understand modern furniture. Don't get me wrong, I understand designer modern furniture.
New handles are a nightmare.
But I do not understand this mass-produced furniture like IKEA. You open a drawer, you put your jumpers in it, and 3 weeks later the bottom of the drawer's fallen out.
Yep.
Whereas actually you could spend £120 on a Victorian mahogany chest of drawers that has had the test of time, and it will last another 100 years.
Because you do furniture as well, don't you?
I do, yeah. We've sold a lot of furniture the last couple of weeks, to be honest. I need to get out buying again, just that I haven't had a chance. But no, we sell a lot of antique furniture.
Oh, you sell antique as well?
Yeah, because that's my field.
Yes, of course. I thought most of it was kind of newish, or was brand new.
No, we don't sell any new furniture.
So all your furniture is...
Most of the furniture we stock, except for some of our upholstered chairs. They are some of my upholstered chairs are old that I've had reupholstered. Yeah. But no, most of the furniture is old, is antique.
So when you said, you came back here. So
I did.
Originally from here.
Went to Bishop Heber actually school, and then left when I was 19. I went down south. I started window dressing with antiques, using antique leather suitcases in window dressing with, all sorts of different windows.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I can see it now.
I was quite into the quirky look. So, and then I got offered a job at an auctioneer's in Leicestershire, and that's where I started. And I was really passionate about Chinese ceramics and decorative arts, things like bezic.
What started that? Was that just...
I just think... my nan, I think, probably gave me something that was Chinese, and I just thought, oh gosh, that's really interesting. And
Ming Dynasty vase.
Lovely. It was actually a really nice dish, I think. I've still got it, but I think that's what started me enjoying the antique side of things. And then I was one of the first, I would say, one of very few female auctioneers, because I was only probably 22, 23.
To me, it's always been quite a male-dominated industry.
Very male-dominated industry. It's not now.
The testosterone of the gavel.
But it was then.
Do you have to have one of those fake tans as well?
No.
No, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
David Dickinson.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Mahogany.
I met David many times, actually. So I have been really lucky with my career, with auctioneering and everything, because I specialised in quite niche markets, things like Dalton, Beswick, Silvat, Wade. Pendelfin was massive. You probably never even heard of it.
No.
Little chalk bunnies made in Burnley, and
so is that a kind of similar following, like, what is it herons? The little kind of spotted china animals?
No, I don't know.
What's that called?
Little spotted china animals.
Oh, you must have seen them. So they're beautifully crafted china.
Lesser spotted? No, little spotted. Right.
not just cheated. Cheaters.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Well, the Pendelfin thing, so I moved home because I got made redundant in the 80s because it was when the recession came. So I moved from down south.
Right.
I moved back to my parents because I had a house down there which I couldn't afford to keep. So I moved home and got a job at Peter Wilson's in Nantwich, the auctioneers, as their fine art manager. And it was, I was, again, in my mid to late 20s.
Well, do you have like a fine arts background? Sorry, I don't want to derail you here, but do you have a fine arts background?
No, I'm self-taught. I'm totally self-taught.
But it's it's something that you're obviously
I was really good at what I was doing. So I started there. I was lucky. I got a job up here doing what I loved.
Right.
And I had 5 of these chalk rabbits come in on evaluation day. When I say the chalk rabbits, the tallest was probably 5 inches. And it was pottery, chalk. You could literally write in chalk on the table in it.
Well, you could write with it. It'd be like, yeah.
If you wanted to, painted. And they were called Pendelfin. And they were made in Burnley. And this little old lady brought them in. And she said, I've been offered £1,000 for this rabbit. Now, considering my background was ceramics, and I couldn't get over it. And I thought, well, leave them with me. I'll do some research. So I contacted the factory in Burnley, and they said, oh, it's a really early figure made in the 1950s. And so I said to my boss at the time, I think these should go into a catalogue sale. And he was going, no, they're rubbish. Look at them. They're rubbish. You can't put those in a catalogue.
No, actually, let me take them off you. You may as well just throw them away. I'll just do it for you.
And I said, no. I said, I've done the research, and I'm really intrigued by these chalk rabbits. Intrigued.
Right.
So I got my way. I put them in a catalogue sale, and it went out to the. In those days there were hard copy catalogues. Went out to all our customers. And one of those rabbits fetched £3,200.
Wow, intrigue.
Okay. I'm not joking, and I was hooked at that point. They're not my taste, but I was totally hooked. And I went from there, from that day, with that particular thing, to being the leading consultant in Pendelfin in the UK,
wow.
Canada and America. I wrote 3 books on it. I sold... I mean, when I say thousands and thousands and thousands of these rabbits. Now, anybody of your listeners, your podcast listeners, and they know Pendelfin, they will know that how many rabbits were made in different. There was a cricket rabbit. There was an auctioneer rabbit. There was an Aunt Agatha. There was a squirrel that was having an affair with one of the rabbits. There were stories and background.
There's these backstories. This is nuts.
I'm not joking.
Squirrel and rabbit.
It was unbelievable. So I wrote the first edition of the Pendelfin Collector's Handbook in '95, and I went on to write 3 books. I knew the ladies who modelled them and made them in the 50s. Sadly, they died. I used to go up to Burnley, have gin and tonic with them. They're the most amazing characters. Had the most amazing time in my 20s, just meeting fantastic, interesting people to do with artisan pottery and craftsmanship, which we have lost now in this country. But if you think of Stoke-on-Trent in the heyday, we have lost all that.
Yeah, like real individuated product.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was amazing. And then... sadly, they passed away, and I sold their estates for them. I was asked to literally,
with that involved.
And I'm not joking. I sold the potter's wheel, everything that was to do with that beautiful story in Burnley, set in Burnley in Lancashire, and the Pendle Witch Hills and everything. And some of this stuff and her artwork is now so sought after in the world. It's amazing. And I have to say, I look back and think that obviously this is pre-children really, because obviously I have 3 children. Madeleine did come along in the middle of that, sort of when I was in the throes of Pendelfin.
The throes,
yes.
my word.
But I look back on it fondly, but people think I've got the largest collection in the world, and I only own 3. But they do, because I know so much about it. They honestly think I've got this massive collection of these chalk bunnies, and if I wish I brought one with me, because to see them you'd think, are you kidding me?
And they're actually made of chalk.
Yeah, they're like a plaster Paris.
See, I'm just being completely naive. If you left them out in the rain, would there be a problem?
Yeah.
Crikey, so you really have to take care of them.
Oh yes, yeah. And one of the biggest collections, would you believe, this is by pure coincidence, was in Preece.
Wow.
One of my biggest buyers lived in Preece.
Wow.
She's sadly passed away now as well, but she had a huge big collection.
I'm just thinking of a horrendous incident of a teacher maybe using a blackboard in the 80s or the 90s. Kid brings something in, they run out of chalk, and they go, "Oh, I found this. That was a £4,000 bunny."
No,
It was.
used to literally do hopscotch with them. I am not joking.
As in mark out the floor.
Yes, honestly, to goodness, it was the background of the story of Pendelfin is fascinating with the ladies. They were just amazing artists of their time, and I just thought, so Eden Blyton, who wrote obviously
Famous
loads
5.
of children books and stuff,
course.
she was actually offered this rabbit, which was the Dungaree father, to write a story about, and she poo-pooed the ears. So Jean Walmsley Heap said, well, you're not having him, and she took it away, and she then produced from this one rabbit this whole family, and she just grew her company, and it was one of the leading UK companies, alongside Silvac and Wade and Royal Dalton and Beswick in its time. Unfortunately, like with everything, collectibles, so I was probably really, I would say in my sort of mid to late 20s, the collectible market was massive, huge, but then it dived, like everything. It just totally dipped down. And that was a shame, really, because Pendelfin did then come away as a factory. The ladies passed on, it got bought by a Chinese company, they started making it in porcelain.
Oh, no.
And before you know it, the company, even though it's still listed, it doesn't produce. So again, we lost another thing.
That's gone, isn't it?
Another thing.
Oh, what a shame.
To mass production.
But it's it's one of these. I don't know whether it's very British or not. I don't know, but it's just even the story of the production and how they came about is a wonderful little story.
Yeah.
And I think when people have that, I think I found a load of stuff from various grandparents over the years, and it is just fascinating. Being a historian, just that link to the past and the story, and how you can build it in your own mind. And those little rabbits, they're doing that because they have a story anyway, and they've created a story with the rabbit, the various characters that you talk about. Particularly the slightly deviant rabbit who was involved with the squirrel. Yeah. But it's like a little.
She was married as well to an Uncle
Have we got any photos of these?
Oh,
because
honestly.
we need to interleave them in the little video.
It's like
you should. There, honestly.
We do, yeah.
Honestly.
Immoral.
Yeah.
It's like a classier version of Sylvanian families. But I love that, and it's just such a great little story, and I can see, and again, people can they find out something. Go, well, as you said, yourself, you got these rabbits, and you thought, oh, this is a bit weird, but then you dig. And it's exactly what other people do, which kind of drives the interest and the excitement and clearly the value. But again, it's not that dissimilar to kind of what Maddie's done. Maddie clearly found an interest in something and thought, I'm going to dig deeper into this. And then the deeper you go, the more interest, the more that you discover. And often people will say, a little bit of knowledge is a very dangerous thing. But when you really start to kind of uncover, it can draw you in. And in this case, in such a positive way. Yeah,
definitely. And I think with anything though, if it's got a story and it's got a history behind it, I just find it's such a shame. So many things you see get taken away from us now to mass production, whereas you see keeping things on a smaller scale has more, I think, of a story to it.
And humanity.
This is
You're buying a bit of personality.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it might all come back again.
It will do.
It would be lovely if it did. It might all come back where people have interest in retaining instead of throwing away. So, you know...
instead of having obsolescence sort of baked into these IKEA products, like
Exactly.
you said before, it falls apart in no time at all.
And then it gets chucked, doesn't it? It just goes into
just contributes to
landfill
waste
and stuff. Yeah.
And that's no good.
Whereas actually, if there's a backstory to it, if it's been gifted or it's come from a family member, or somebody said, would you like this because it's been in my family, to me, having a story behind it, you're passing that through.
Yes.
You're passing that on to the next generation, and it will, if it's made beautifully and not cheaply, to be perfectly honest, it will last I really struggle.
About quality. You can't teach class. There's something about quality, isn't there?
It's really weird because I always think when I go round cities and I look at these beautiful big Georgian houses and Victorian houses, it amazes me how they've lasted all the test of time. And some of our new builds, in 10 years. I
know, right? It's shocking.
So where are we going wrong there?
It unfortunately is short-term profit. And one of the companies I worked with for a while, a client of ours, are a big Danish engineering firm called Danfoss. Brilliant company, based in Denmark, complete eccentrics. When we first went out to pitch them, we were shown Mads Clausen's, who was the founder from the 1900s, his office. It was the size of a tennis court, and this was of its time. They said, you must come and see his collection. And we walked in, and there was another tennis court full of stuffed animals that he had shot. It was of its time. But the point is, he as a company, they really invested in their people. They weren't completely quarterly led. They weren't totally profit driven. Yes, they wanted to make profit, but it was done long term, and they had a story behind them, and that's what made them stand out. Their products might not have been the most exciting things, but they were reliable and they lasted, and you could depend on them. And I think even if you have that, we live in a world now which is sounding like a curmudgeonly old git, not quite as curmudgeonly or as old git as I could be, but I think that idea of a story and of something that lasts, that dependability, is a really nice thing. It's better than the usual just flash in the pan. Oh, this is cool now. This is interesting now. This looks great now. It's all about the aesthetics, and there is so much more. When someone passes something on to you, it's a lovely feeling.
Well, it's like a legacy,
it's personality as well.
Yeah, it is like a legacy.
It's like legacy, is what I'm getting.
Yeah, that's how I always feel with stuff, to be fair. I think the really weirdest thing is, I think if it can last the test of time, it shows that the person who has made it has put the time in initially to make it good, well, and it's well made.
Yes.
Whereas everything's made quickly now. It's so mass produced, and it's mass produced quickly because it's more efficient.
Oh, because it's just the now. There's no the future in mind.
Exactly, that's it, and that's the sad thing.
Do you think there'll be a rebellion by people of Maddie's generation against growth at all costs? Because basically, you've described that the idea that you make things to throw away, and if your car's obsolete because it's diesel, and you should throw it away and buy another thing that cost a fortune in carbon to make, and then they'll decide that needs throwing away as well, and you've got to buy a new one. Whereas actually keeping hold of the thing you had would have been much more ecologically
and that's
useful.
the irony, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But the thing is, nobody ever wants to come up with an answer that involves not selling something to somebody.
I know,
and the actual answer is that, isn't it?
It is really.
Yeah.
I don't know, young people. I think there's a section of young people that are super sustainable and really are on the journey
agree with that.
Of the planet.
Yeah.
But then you've got another section of young people who will just buy into Temu and Shine, and they want that outfit every weekend, and it's getting those people to talk to the other side of young people to say, well, actually, it doesn't matter if you've worn that dress 3, 4, 5 times. You still look great in it. You don't need another new dress.
I think vintage. I think you again, because obviously we are in the age of instantaneous marketing, instantaneous trends, instantaneous demand and supply.
Yeah.
I can have something tomorrow. That's when you need someone like a Vinted, hopefully, who are listened to and are speaking to their customers, various demographics. And you need someone like that to help change that perception. And I think they can. Actually, you can have this, which has got this brand, which means maybe no, tradition's not the right word, but heritage and elegance and class and style rather than trend. And I think it's understanding those differences.
Yeah, I think vintage is fantastic.
But I think
it's all age group as well.
Is, yeah.
Vintage is. It's not just for young people. I mean, I use Vinted. I sell on Vinted and buy on Vinted.
I think people can be a little bit. We can all be judgmental about groups that aren't ourselves. And I actually, having spoken to a lot of kind of people in their teens, 20s, the majority of them actually, I think, have got their head screwed on and are thinking more along these lines of, certain millennials. I'm speaking about an ex-girlfriend. She was absolutely all over it because she was an adult, and all of these new toys, dating apps, social media, was all exciting and new. And it's not like, I have to wait till I'm 18 to have the gin. I can have it now. Whereas I think the people in their kind of late teens, 20s, it's all it's au fait now. They've grown up with it. And I think they're more measured in terms of maybe how they use it. There's education at school. So I think there's hope.
But also, it's like...
Look at Maddie.
Yeah, well, the thing is what we do, you see. We try and... There's a backstory to all the product. So you can... When somebody comes into the shop, you can actually say, well, do you know what? That's made out of plastic bottles. And that throw there is recycled cottons. And you can talk about your product. So all our clothing is eco-vera. It's all economically made fabric, so it's got to be organic cottons or eco-vera viscose that's been
there's various
so all the clothing, and especially John Joe's, actually the male side, the clothing seems to have a lot more on offer than actually some of the women's clothing. So he uses some really sustainable brands. Selected Harm and Komodo is really sustainable, and they've been going since 1988. And then the bamboo socks and all that sort of thing. So there is a backstory to most of our product.
Yeah, there's go on.
And the give back then as well. So for example, if we're buying in the product, we know that some of the money that we've spent on the brand is then going back to education for children and
where the raw product is produced.
Exactly. So that's really important, and that's the bit that I enjoy from the business side of it. I like looking at what you're giving,
how it folds back into stuff. Yeah.
Well, this is your sense of history, going back to the auctioneering and your love of antiques, and that story and that heritage and that link.
Yeah, and then the community thing is always great because you're linking with your customers, your base of customers, and everybody has something going on in their lives, and sometimes they just need time out just to sit and have a chat or do a journaling workshop.
Because you do that, don't you?
Well, Jane Gill does that for us. I'm in partnership with Jane Gill with The Right Word, which is a writing group. So last year we did... we had 9 ladies who wrote poetry. Some of them had never written a word in their life, but we did poetry and short stories last year, and we produced a book, and then we published it at the end of last year, and we had a little opening evening at Moo and Boom, and we sold the copies, and we raised £1,000 for the food bank in Whitchurch.
Oh, fantastic. That's Alan,
we chat with you about this actually the other month or so ago.
It was amazing because Alan came and did a talk.
He's coming on here actually as well.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's a lovely guy,
absolutely brilliant. They're going to miss him because he's retiring.
I
know. So he came and did a talk, and we did a little cheese and wine, and we sold out within a week of our books. So this year I thought, right, well I'm going to challenge my ladies. So we did it as a closed group, so nobody could rejoin. You could stay in the group, but because we'd worked together for a year, we knew everybody's strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
And
So it's no new closed circle. Fair enough.
Well, only because I gave them a project that we're going to write a novella.
Well, yes.
Which is under 40,000 words, and every one of the ladies.
Do you write it between you?
Well, this is what's so interesting. So they looked at me and I said, because I put it past Jane, because Jane and I are The Right Word, we called The Right Word, and I said, right, I've got this brilliant idea. So we said, look, we're going to write a novella. It's going to be 40,000 words, and we're going to publish it at the end of the year, and every single one of you is going to be a character, and you're going to write your own character.
Oh, this is brilliant.
It's like a coalescence of...
It's a collaboration.
A collaboration. But
Of like-minded people. So how we did it was, everybody had to pick a genre of book.
Yeah.
They had to pick a character, whether it be female or male, and they had to do a description of whether it be a romance, a murder mystery, or something like that.
Because you could live out your darkest fantasy, can't you?
Hilarious.
You know, every actor who plays a goodie is desperate to be the worst bad guy.
It's been
This sounds hilarious.
It's going to be amazing. So
what's going on in your mind? Well, we know now.
Well, the thing is, what's really funny, so we've got male and female, we're all women, but we've got male and female characters. And to get us to a point, because I've written and published, so I'd got some experience. And Jane Gill is an ex-mistress. She's super clever. So she's got some really good experience to bring to the table. My other ladies have got a little bit of dibbled and dabbled with poetry and stuff, and so I've got some really good artists in there that'll do some illustrations. But it was absolutely fascinating. But we decided to get a professional. So we got Liz Hyder in, who is a published author.
Yeah.
She's written, she's won awards as well, literary awards, and we employed her services for 3 sessions
to guide it.
Well,
and structure.
to effectively world build it.
Got it. Yeah.
So we picked our characters, and then Liz, she's been for 3 sessions, and she's given us this fantastic way of building a storyline around what we were thinking. So it's set in Cambridge. It's all to do with a Mahan Codex that disappears in 1946 from the Cambridge Library.
Oh, what? Sorry.
A Mahan Codex. Which
So basically, it's a how to work out a cipher.
Yes, a cipher. And the library had got it, paid a lot of money for it. It disappeared in 1946, and it was presumed that a particular gentleman had stolen it, and then his son is Jeremy Pendleton, and he's a writer, and he's sort of really gone by the wayside. So he was prolific, then he's gone back, and so he's now having to do writers' retreats.
Now lives on a canal boat.
Now, so you have a few people chasing the codex, which I'm one of them. I'm a young journalist called Pippa. I'm chasing the codex. I have no interest in Jeremy, but Jeremy's not been a nice person. So you've got other people wanting him dead because he's not been particularly very nice. And you've got other people in the writing retreat that are chasing the codex. And it's all set in Cambridge, in Ravenshade Manor, and it's absolutely brilliant.
There's a wee bit of like Indiana Jones meets Agatha Christie meets.
Honestly, it's brilliant. I can't wait to publish it.
I can't wait to read this.
Yeah, it's going to be mad.
I can't wait to do an audio book of it.
Honestly, it's it's absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been brilliant. Yeah. It's been absolutely brilliant. So we're sort of in the throes of. We've done the whole outline. We've got the finish. We've got the murderer. Everything. But what's really interesting is, obviously, because my background is antique, so when the murder happens in the library, right, they're using a Meiji bronze rat as the murder weapon, because everything sounds totally bonkers, because I say, I've got the absolute ideal thing what we can use to kill him with.
A bronze rat.
Yeah, which is
better than a chalk rabbit.
Japanese
heavy item.
Don't get me wrong, they fetch a load of money, and it's sitting there and bonk.
What better thing to kill someone with? Yeah. Bang, bang, a touch of class.
But who killed him? You're going to have to read the book.
I quite like this as well because it allows me to get my favourite word in of verisimilitude. So you're perfect at adding verisimilitude. P.G. Wodehouse loved it. Verisimilitude as in you talk about a scenario and environment and you basically add in facts that make this world absolutely real and seem real. So thank you for allowing me to use that word. But I do want to read that. When's it coming out?
Oh, we're going to, because we raise it. We don't do it to make money. We do it for charity. So I'm hoping, if it all goes to plan and everybody keeps writing and getting it into me in time, that we can get it published for the end of the year.
How? Just think, 9 people involved in this.
Yes.
All writing. How on earth do you pull it together and turn it into a narrative from 9 people's points of view?
So you do
How
a
do it?
chapter breakdown.
Yeah.
So chapter 1, the arrival of Jeremy to Ravenshade.
Is he a dashing rake, but with a past?
He's a bit of a twat,
like you,
to be
Mark.
honest.
He's a bit of, oh, right.
He's a bit of a
I'll use
twat.
another word. Oh, there you go. That's
yeah.
exactly like.
But so, for example, Helen, who's in our group, she's Jeremy, so she is the dead person, but she writes him.
Oh,
so
do I have to be the dead person?
That's her thing. So she's Jeremy.
Yeah.
So she writes all Jeremy's things, you see. And what we tend to do is it'll all come into me, and then I will place it through. And then what we do is we do a 3-chapter edit with everybody. So once I've got 3 chapters in, we'll sit around and we can edit. Nobody's precious of the writing. You can't be precious when you're doing a collaboration.
You're going to get cut at some point, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and everybody knows their work's going to get cut, and there's sometimes a bit of time out because actually, come on, this is supposed to be a joyous journey. This isn't about
Pure creative tension.
Yeah, and I'm one of these people that I'm a visionary person, so I can visualise the whole thing, and I've already done the epilogue. I'm on book 2 in my head. I've already done this.
This is this is a series.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These rights have been sold to Steven Spielberg.
I know it sounds
There's money in the bank.
I've already in my head. It's the Kodak's been found. It's back at the university. It gets stolen again. Somebody arrives back in Peru. Do you know what I mean? It's all.
Yes.
It's all there. So. The journey is fantastic with it. The ladies are brilliant. I've got.
Are they all? How did you find? Are they customers or friends or?
No,
how did you start it?
they just put it out there last January 24. Just put it out there. We've got a right word group who'd like to come. Some of them were customers, and then I had a friend that has always supported Moo and Boom, and she's now a very good friend. And then some people heard about it. And they said, we'd like to join. But Helen used to work at the bookshop that shut down next to me.
With Dinah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Helen worked on a Wednesday, could never come to it. So I actually asked the group at the beginning of this year, even though we were a closed group, please can Helen join? Because she would have loved to have joined, but we always meet on a Wednesday and she was always working in the bookshop. So Helen's a late comer, but she's an amazing writer. Her work is fantastic. So I'm super excited for the end of the year. And then we'll see what we raise for the food bank.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
but that
right word. I like that.
But Moo and Boom is. This is what I love about it. This is why when we were talking to Maria the other week, we kind of, and the way she was describing how people are buying now, and the kind of people that were coming in and buying from her. And it's kind of new, but it's not new. It's kind of how our grandparents would have shopped kind of 50, 60, 70 years ago. It's slower. You carry it home, and whether it's me and my Brazil nuts with a wheelbarrow, but it's a slower shop. You work out how much you want. You're not wasting stuff. You're not wasting packaging. It's slower and it's more measured, and it's like stepping into a little world and it smells delightful. I've got to say, and refill your beaks.
Yes.
But the same as I think is with you, isn't it? And I really like that you've kind of built a bit of a story, you and Maddie, around Moo and Boom, because you've got the little tea shop. And you can come in and you can relax and chat. It's a bit of an oasis. You've got this writing group, and they're all part of the business. And yes, it is a business.
Yeah.
It's a financial concern, but you're building a story and you're building personalities and life around it, which I really love.
I love that part.
And that's what you're trying to, and that's what you're doing around the town as well, which is, I think, it's fabulous.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun, and to be honest, the day it doesn't become fun is when I've got so many projects on, I could do any of them, but I like it. I enjoy the bit for me is that side of the company.
Yeah.
John, Joe, and Maddie run the company, as in they merch it, they buy for it, they have the thought process, they do the windows. They're the workers, as in they work super hard. I like the community side of it, and I don't mind plating up some food. I'm quite good at cooking. So I do that Monday, Tuesday.
There was something that struck me before. I just remembered you saying about a joyous journey. It's not like being like a tortured sort of artist and like, this is very difficult being a genius. So it's very, very difficult. It's a joyous journey. It's something really, really quite wholesome and nice and
I think
lovely.
I think when you actually don't start, if you don't enjoy something, you sort of then need to come out of it, because life's quite precious, isn't it? So if you're not enjoying your journey that you're on, I would say to anybody, change your path, because
change that trajectory for sure.
Definitely.
But it is great, isn't it? Because you think, okay, this is a shop that sells quite a few different things, but what it is doing, it's working as a brilliant vehicle and platform for the three of you to follow your interests and your passions. And it's allowing you to do that.
Yeah, but it might not always be.
It might not, no.
Do you know what I mean? Because my guys are quite young, so Maddie's only 25 and John Joe's only 21, and this might not be their thing forever.
No, but it's formative. It's going to be quite formative, and it's at this stage of their life, they're doing something really useful, and they are doing something that they're interested in. Yeah, I think,
and they're learning, and they've got great skill set to go on to do other things. And I think that was always my thing, that if you've got a strong background of something, you can then put it into other little niche things going forward, so that actually you're not in a mundane sort of world. See, I'm not a very corporate person. I would really struggle in that environment.
I was just going to ask you, sorry for interrupting, it sounds like something that would be hard to have a second Moo and Boone shop, because it all relies on you and all your personalities. So have you got plans to have more shops?
No, because we did
possible? It sounds like it probably isn't.
Well, we did have John Joe's shop, JB and Boom, at the top. But you see, we had a fabulous year initially, but then with the Civic closing, it really affected our footfall. And I knew within the first quarter, because, my background as well, I've got a lot of accountancy background, and I knew that, do you know what? We're going to lose a lot of money this year. So that's why I shut it. So we've put John Joe in with Maddie, and it's been absolutely fine. But you see, we just really need some more lovely visitors into our town, which is lovely, which is fab. And I think we're on a cusp of turning it.
Agreed.
With a lot of positivity.
That P word.
Yeah, which
a lot of time with Steve.
No, honestly, but perfectly positive. I agree with that. You see,
he's right.
I think if you do approach things in a positive way, that you can generate a total different vibe.
Oh, it's energy in, energy out sort of territory. Yeah.
So we would like it to be busier in town. It has changed this year, and it was challenging last year. So no, we wouldn't be opening another, is the answer to that.
I thought you might say that.
But our shop is quite big. It's quite demanding, our space. So, and really I do need to be retiring at some point. So, not quite yet.
Maybe, I think, film rights for the books, and also maybe you could turn your hunt for the surviving chalk rabbits into an epic adventure.
Yeah, I did find one actually in a charity shop in Whitchurch.
Did you?
I did, and quite a rare one, and I felt quite guilty buying it. So I bought loads of other stuff as well, so that even though I knew I'd bought something really nice, so and I've still got him. So yeah, you can still find amazing things in our charity shops. So you should keep looking, I think. So,
absolutely.
Nightingales is amazing.
Nightingales.
They have some really good stuff in Nightingales. You can find all sorts of treasures. So, but
all sorts of good clobber.
Yeah, you can actually.
I think I remember when I was a while ago. I was absolutely brassic post divorce, and I God.
Is it the only one divorce?
I've only been married once, but I've had a significant. I think we'll probably I don't know. Had a significant. That was the killer though. The heart. Anyway, but yes. But I remember I was in Bristol and I was needing some clothes, and I decided actually it's a nice area of Bristol. Check a couple of charity shops out. I got some brilliant stuff for about 15 quid.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Our charity shops are really good in Whitchurch.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Really, really good. People are so generous.
I think there's so much going for this town, and some of the people in it, having met more and more people. And I do take the mick out of Steve a lot for his alliteration around the word
Steve's
P.
amazing.
But he is an absolute dynamo, and he needs support and credit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Well, if you guys are free to do modelling for the charity fashion show, don't be shy.
Don't. I thought you were just going to leave it at don't.
No, don't be shy, guys, because we're all short of male models for male clothing.
I've got to say, Laurie, you've just sasayed back in from the loo, and you look very stylish. There was a little wiggle there of the hips as you turned round, and you even turned round nicely.
Clothes in XXL.
They do clothes in all sizes. So it was super popular last year, and we raised a lot of money for Blackberry Fair, and we are going to be. We're going to do it in an evening this time and have a cocktail bar.
Oh, nice.
Right, I'm your man.
Yeah,
Now, there we go then.
I could relaunch Blue Steel and Magnum. And on that note, Stella, thanks so much
You're
for coming
very
in.
welcome.
I
It's
really
been fun.
really enjoyed
It's been really
that.
fun, yeah.
And I think we can definitely do that again. But I really enjoyed it. Really interesting. And I think, in the age of words, I think we're done.
We're done.
Are we done?
Super duper.
Fantastic.
That was brilliant, Stella.
Yeah, honestly,
Right,
this is
okay.
really fun.
Right,
stuff.
we're rolling
rolling.
again. We've suddenly had an inspiration from
Wait, hold up.
from Mark and Stella.
Everyone's been to Lou, and we've actually realised that we're going to do this as a little bit of a bonus because Stella's just dropped another celebrity name for us. So we just thought, actually, we'll do another quick 5 minutes. So you've just dropped some names.
Okay, so
Parkinson and Tony Slattery?
Yeah, so
Why? How?
well,
Who?
when I was auctioneering, and I was probably again, it was pre-children, so I was probably about 25. I got asked to go on to the BBC Going for a Song, which was hosted by Michael Parkinson. Penelope
As in free carriage club, just for inquiry. Some life insurance.
Penelope Keith and Tony Slattery.
Penny Keith, as I know.
And actually, he's passed away now, hasn't he?
He has, just died.
Yeah, which is sad. But I was super excited. It was in Birmingham, and 2 of my friends came with me. They were allowed to go in the studio audience. I was in the green room. It was really exciting.
Get you.
And I can remember going on to set, and as we were going on set, Tony Slattery snogged the cameraman.
Wow.
And it totally put me off my stride.
Sorry, Tony Slattery
Snogged the cameraman.
Was the cameraman expecting this or wanting this?
I don't know, because I wasn't expecting it or expecting to see that before I
It was
went
a bit of a shock.
Sat down.
Right.
Anyway, Eric Knowles.
I'm just glad it was Michael Parkinson that didn't snog the cameraman.
Well, Eric Knowles was the antique guy,
yeah.
Who is a really nice chap. And he, would you believe, was from Burnley.
Yeah.
So I had a real good connection with him because of the
Rabbits.
And we did keep in touch for years, Eric Knowles and I. But yeah, that was funny. I did lose. I was gutted because I'm incredibly competitive.
No, I've never guessed that.
Yeah, I am incredibly competitive. So I did actually lose to a guy who worked for Philips. Do you remember Philips Auctioneers?
Yep.
Do you remember that? So he worked for Philips, and again, in my years of antique valuing and consulting, I bumped into him many times as well. And we used to reminisce about the fact when we were on the BBC Two Going for a Song. And there's a little, if you look at it, there's a little theme tune for Going for a Song that's quite recognisable.
And do you remember when Tony Slattery, the cameraman? Yeah. My word, that's wild.
I know, it was wild. It did put me off my stride though. I think that's why I lost.
Well, yeah, thanks, Tony.
Yeah,
thanks for nothing.
Thanks a lot.
Maybe your competitor bribed Tony. Go on, Tony. Although Tony Slattery did like a bit of Bolivian marching powder, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's a shame though.
I met Holly Willoughby twice when I lived in Barnes, but each time I had a child in one hand and my face was covered in bacon sandwich the other, but she didn't snog anyone. So Michael Parkinson.
Yeah, he was the host.
Well, he didn't snog anyone either.
He was hosting. He's a super nice guy.
Oh, he's lovely, isn't he?
Yeah, really, really nice. Really, really nice. They were all lovely, actually.
It's going to be a bit of farky.
So the thing is, I think,
It was bullseye.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was interesting times when you were doing 20th century collectibles and decorative arts. It was all happening in the late 80s.
I know some people getting into the rave scene, house music, dance music, but no.
Yeah.
19th century collectibles.
Yeah, that's it.
Where it's at. The fast pace. Right, and on that note, we really are done.
Yeah.
Right, we're done.
Yeah. Stella, that was brilliant. The Lock-In is a conversation on a canal boat, often accompanied by beer. Every couple of weeks, we'll talk to someone from Whitchurch who has contributed to our community, who has a story, who makes the town special. They could come from any age, any background, any walk of life, but they embody the spirit of this fantastic, sometimes overly modest little market town. So, if you have a story, something to say, or know someone that does, We'd love you or them to get on board and tell us what floats your boat, gets your engine running, makes you tick. You get the picture.